Hey everyone, I'm Lisa Ansley Clapper, class of 2000. I'm so excited to announce your next speaker. She is a classmate of mine and a very close friend. Ever since I can remember, Megha has always had a plan. Whether it be the boy she was going to ask to winter formal after days and days of rehearsing over the phone, to what she wanted to be when she grew up, a doctor, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The path was not always easy for Megha, no matter how easy she made it look. But she always stuck to the plan and found a way to make everything work out. Megha was a St. Mary's girl from 1st grade to 12th grade. She went on after St. Mary's to attend University of Miami, where she became an eternal Hurricanes fan. From Miami, Megha went to med school at St. George's University School of Medicine in Grenada, West Indies. I know what everyone is thinking right now. She sure knows how to pick great locations to study. After med school, Megha finally made it closer to home, where she did her residency at University of Arkansas in Little Rock. This is where Megha met her husband, Meyer. She continued on to her fellowship in pediatric anesthesiology at Arkansas Children's Hospital, where she became pregnant with baby Kishie. From here, Megha, Meyer, and Kish moved to Cincinnati, where Megha did an advanced fellowship in quality improvement and safety. This is where Megha became pregnant with Kieran. Megha, Meyer, Kish, and Karen now live in beautiful Houston, Texas, where she is the assistant professor of pediatric anesthesiology and pain management, as well as the assistant director of quality improvement and safety for the Department of Pediatric Anesthesiology at Texas Children's Hospital. More importantly, Megha is the most amazing wife to Meyer, mother to Kish and Karen, and forever a St. Mary's girl.
Good morning. Thank you, Lisa, for that generous and amazing introduction. She has been a dear friend of mine for, over 25 years, and we had the joy of having SMS bring us together. She knows me very well. Hi. She knows me very well, so well that she told me that she was going to do this introduction for me, and I realized, sadly, she knew me so well, she already knew what I was going to talk about, even though I didn't tell her. So she told you that I like to plan. I like to plan a lot. In fact, I like to use a planner. I like to talk about my plans and think about my plans. And so that's what I plan to do. So today I thought I would share with you a little bit about myself and why I like to plan. One of the important lessons I learned is something I wanted to share with you. Growing up, I think I always knew I wanted to go into medicine, and I had wanted to be a doctor. And I had it, hi again. I had it all figured out. I wanted to go to Brown University. I was going to study abroad in Spain. I was going to go to medical school, and I was going to be a pediatrician immediately following, so I would graduate by the time I was 26, but before that I needed to get married when I was 25 so I could have 2 babies before I turned 28, and they were going to be 2 years apart. And I was going to be a pediatrician, and I was going to work at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital, and then I was going to live in Memphis forever, and it was going to be great. And that was my perfect plan, except for that it didn't work. Pretty much none of it went according to my plan, and it took me some time to figure out, what I wanted to do initially. So I know a lot of you might be thinking about what you want to do in the future, where you might want to go to college, where you may want to live. I'm sitting here in the 5th grade pews, and I guess now it has been a really long time, but it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. I always imagined that I wanted to help people, and I figured that this is something that I would truly enjoy. And many Christmases I remember with all of us, in your homes, get Christmas cards from different family members, and in our house, I remember I would see so many Christmas cards, and there would always be pictures of people on the Christmas cards whom I never recognized. And every time when I asked my mom and dad, who is this person and who is that person, the response was always the same. And my mom would say, I think that was one of your dad's patients. And I'd be looking at the pictures, and these were pictures of big kids, and a lot of times they were adults. And I know my dad takes care of kids. And then it hit me. I realized my dad must have taken such amazing care of his patients that so many years ago that people remember him and they appreciate him. And I think that maybe he's helped them through possibly one of the worst experiences of their lives. Maybe he comforted him, and maybe he helped them just to know that it would be okay. And he took great care of people, and they remembered him. And that's how I figured it out. I thought I wanted to do the same thing with my life. So when I was in high school, I started going to the hospital with my dad just to observe some surgeries. And quite honestly, I didn't really understand what he was doing. He's a pediatric anesthesiologist. But the surgeries were interesting enough, so I just kind of stuck around to watch them and see what they were doing. And he always told me, you can do whatever you want with my life. And my mom always told me the same things. And let's be honest, I did enjoy science more than history. Sorry, Miss Patrick, I just was never great with history. But I had a lot more fun learning from Miss Brundage and learning about all the different things about the space shuttles and about drug interactions. And then Mr. Tanner and Miss Fran helped me as well. And then Mr. Volpe had lots of fun projects for us, usually things that involved putting eggs in something that we constructed and throwing them out the windows and see if the eggs broke. Those things always worked really well at home, but somehow when you threw them out the window at school, those eggs always broke. So it never went as well once I got to school, but I still always enjoyed it. And I had lots of people that really believed in me over the years, mostly my mom and dad, but there were lots of others too. I had some amazing teachers, Miss Umphris and Miss Mansberg, who taught me the importance of how to write a good paper. And I'll be honest, I didn't always know how important it was at the time because I thought, hey, I'm going to go into medicine. Those people don't write. Apparently I was wrong. Everybody writes. So I'm glad that she tried to teach me as much as she did, and I did my best to take in whatever I could. Ms. Walker taught me all kinds of important things with Spanish, and hopefully I've learned a little bit more since then. Ms. Grossman and Ms. Fran and Ms. Stemler, just to name a few. And so by the time I was a junior, I had decided I really wanted to go to Brown University. And I think people had sort of, reminded me it's going to be a bit of a challenge because I think it's a really competitive school. And they were right. It was a competitive school, and I did not get into Brown University, and I was crushed. But that was okay because instead I accepted a position or a spot at the University of Miami where I became a hurricane, which I also loved. And I think things went okay. I think I made some great friends there. In fact, one of them just came to visit me last week, came down for my baby's first birthday. And it was still okay. I was still going to go to medical school and become a pediatrician, and my plan was still going to work. So, after being at the University of Miami for a couple of years, things were going okay, but during my sophomore year in college, I was in a terrible car accident. I was rushed to the hospital, and I spent about a month stuck there, and it was pretty miserable. I had broken hips and ribs and terrible tubes that were stuck into my chest and everywhere else. And it's probably one of the most difficult things that I ever remembered going through, but I have to say that my parents were there for every moment of the scariest nightmare that I've ever had. My mom especially was there for every second. She helped me the first time I was allowed to take a shower again, and she used to take me out on walks, take me to get a Subway sandwich when the hospital food started to taste extra bad. And she stayed with me in the dorms until I was back on my feet. And I just had so many surprises, but it was an incredible outpouring of love from my St. Mary's teachers and my friends and our family. This was the worst and the best thing that ever happened to me. I think I learned a lot about the kind of person that I wanted to be and also the kind of doctor that I thought I wanted to be in the future. So back to my plan. So the dean of the school, when I was in college, thought I had missed a lot, so he didn't really want me to finish that semester. But he clearly didn't realize that I had a plan, and if I took the rest of the year off, then I would be behind a year, and then it just was not going to work. So I didn't want to tell him he was messing up my plan, but I graciously refused. I also didn't want to tell him that I didn't want to have to take chemistry again because it really wasn't very fun. So I thought I was just going to stick it out and do it. So the semester ended, and we got the year done, and now came the year of truth as I started applying to med school. So I decided to seek a little bit of guidance from our pre-med advisor, and her advice was simple. You should consider something else. I don't think you're going to get into medical school. I don't think they're going to accept you with scores like that. And I was crushed for a day. And then I realized she didn't know my plan either. I was not going to be taking her advice. I was going to be a doctor, a pediatrician. And this is what I decided. So I said, sorry, lady. I just appointed a new pre-med advisor. Guess who it was? It was me. So I didn't get into medical school the first time I applied, or the second time I applied. But that was okay because I had a plan. So I decided to apply to medical school in the Caribbean where they were a little bit more lenient with some of our scores. And about 2 months passed and boom, I was in. So I was really excited and overjoyed, and I was ready to start my journey to become a pediatrician. So off to med school I went, and it was a little harder than I expected. Okay, it was a lot harder than I expected, but along the way I decided I thought I might be a better pediatric anesthesiologist than a pediatrician. And so yes, I know I violated the plan, but it seemed like an appropriate change. And then I had a pre-anesthesia advisor who talked with me and said, you really should consider something else other than anesthesiology. Nobody will accept you without better scores. And I was crushed again for a day. And then I realized, well, I won't be taking his advice anymore. I'm going to be a pediatric anesthesiologist. Sorry, dude, I guess I just appointed a new pre-anesthesiology advisor. Guess again, it was just me. So my last year of med school went by, and I matched into an anesthesiology program, and I moved to Little Rock, and I was so excited. I was fortunate enough to get a position there, and I was really, really excited. I met the most wonderful man, who's now my husband, and we got married my last year of residency, and I was still planning to move to Memphis, but he matched into a program in Cincinnati, Ohio. And, you know, I've had a bit of a difficult time finding a job there. It wasn't as easy as I thought. So I ended up doing another year of training, and I did a year of a fellowship in quality improvement and safety, which was an incredible experience, and I really enjoyed it. So we spent a year living in Cincinnati with our 3-month-old, and then it was time to find real jobs. And I knew we were going to find real jobs in Memphis, because that was part of my plan. So apparently nobody listened to my plan, but we found 2 incredible jobs in Houston, and we have 2 darling babies, and we have really loved living there. So I guess what I would say is it turns out I was right about pretty much nothing, but what I will say is that I can't imagine my life being any more amazing. Nothing went as I had planned. I went to college in a different place than I planned. I went to med school eventually in a different place than I planned. It wasn't really a breeze, neither was getting in. I didn't become a pediatrician like I thought. I didn't get married when I was 25, and I didn't finish medical school when I was 26. I don't live in Memphis, but I am so happy. So I guess what I want to share with you today is it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to take a new path. I think it's okay to go where you're led and to follow the path that's been paved for you or the path that you pave for yourself. And I heard something recently that really spoke to me. And the person that I heard this from, I wish I could tell you, is some amazing person that I read in some book by some spectacular philanthropist, but it was somebody on Facebook who said that this is what their workout instructor said, but I'm still going to share it with you because I think it's great. And they said, bloom where you are planted. So I have an incredible family and a husband, babies, parents, sister, brother-in-law, niece, and friends. I think you can see how incredible all of them are today. I have so many from the class of 2000 that are here right now with me, and we are so blessed. They're here today to show me support, and that is what I'm forever grateful for. So make sure you find the supporters in your life. Many may be here at SMS, and many of them may be your family members or other friends or teachers, and let them lead you where you want to go. You don't have to be a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher. There are so many incredible things that you can do with your life. Share your passion with anybody and everybody, and always remember to support each other, especially your other female colleagues. We're all here together, and we should continue to lift each other up in all that we do. My message today to you is this: remember to believe in yourself, because you should thrive on the encouragement and support that those around you give. They may be from your teachers, your friends, your parents, your sister, or your brother, but most importantly, find the encouragement within yourself. It's okay if things don't go exactly as planned, because you should bloom where you are planted. And I wanted to share with you my favorite quote today, and it's been my favorite quote for so long that it was even my senior quote in my yearbook many years ago. And I think Dr. Seuss said everything important that ever needed to be said. He said, "You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, and you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who will decide where you go. Will you succeed? Yep, 99.75% guaranteed. You'll move mountains." Thank you so much today for listening to SMS and my SMS family, for giving me great opportunities and education that helped me bloom wherever I was planted. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.